Hello and welcome to another crazy top 10 video. I love doing these things, right? And other people like listening to them, so hey, let's do it, right? So this one's a little bit different. Besides the fact that I'm getting over a really nasty flu and my voice may sound a little weird, I don't know how it's coming through in the microphone. My throat is really dry and I'm drinking a lot of orange juice and I just got over 102.6 fever. Yeah, I'm not really feeling the best, so bear with me. But since I'm not feeling the best, why don't we go negative this time, huh? And talk about the top 10 things that make me stop playing an RPG. Because I don't know about you guys, but every so often, I'll play an RPG and I'll have high hopes for it and I'll really be into it. And I'll go to play it and it has one of these 10 things, especially the top three things, are really the things that bother me. It'll have one of these things in there and I just completely drop it. It might have great graphics, great sound, great gameplay, everything's perfect. But it has that one little thing that I'm like, nope, I'm out. I'm not going to put up with it. So I don't know if that's like you. I mean, I think all of us RPG fans, we have something because we're all a bunch of autistic nerds. We all have like that one thing that really gets to us that we won't put up with. So I have 10 of them, and I figure I might as well list them, and you can hate me for it. I'm probably going to be hated for a lot of these things, so I have to stop to drink some orange juice. All right. So, coming in at number 10, and the 10 things that I hate in RPGs and will stop me from playing an RPG. Number 10 is blandness in area design. And a good example of that would be like Bethesda's Starfield or Star Ocean, The Divine Force. See, there's nothing worse than bland areas. And that's like when you get into a game and you might be really digging it. Maybe you kind of like the combat. Everything's jazzing well. You're like, hey, this is good. And then you're in your third or fourth area, your fourth or fifth cave, and you're like, shit, everything is exactly the same. Like, why did they not have a budget to like actually make some new texture tile sets? You go through every single dungeon, they all look the same. Now, true, the Elder Scrolls games do that too, but at least the Elder Scrolls has really large dungeons that are fun with varied enemies and loots. But when you have a game where like everything's the same and the enemies are the same and the loot's the same, there's no variance. Why are you playing this game? It just really wears me out, and especially in the way of Starfield, I just got to the point in that game where every planet was the same, with the same things to do, the same kind of dungeons, the same enemies, same kind of loot. I put about 40 hours into it, maybe got like two-thirds of the way through, and I quit because it was just so bland. Same thing with Divine Force. I love the Star Ocean games, but that last one that came out a couple years ago or whatever, I played maybe 10 hours of it, and I had to drop it because it's just, I was like, damn, like, can we get something new? I was not feeling it at all. So, yeah, that would be number 10. Okay, so we don't want this video to last too long, so we're going to move a little quick here. Plus, my voice probably can't hold out because I'm still sick. Number 9 would be Souls-like elements where they aren't needed. Now, a lot of games are doing this now, but the two most recent and biggest perpetrators of this crime would be Final Fantasy Stranger of Paradise and Claire Obscura, Expedition 33. Now, I know a lot of people like Claire Obscura. How can you hate that, Larrick? How can you hate that? That's amazing. Okay, let me talk about this. Okay, Souls-like elements are fun in Souls-like games. And I don't like to see them in a game where I feel that they don't belong. I don't want all this dodging and parrying crap inside of a game that like for instance a turn-based RPG like Claire Obscura. That game, I know, and people tell me, well, you don't have to parry all the time, you can dodge instead. It's like, yeah, like that's any better? How about I don't know, maybe attack the enemy and let them attack me? But you can't because the way the game's balanced, unless you want to grind to hell and back, you're gonna be facing these bullet sponge enemies that just sit there and take damage and kill you in 2 and 3 hits. So I just don't like that. To me, Souls-like elements are just there so that I really think that they want to attract younger gamers. So what they do is these companies are like, how can we get 15 to 25-year-olds to play our cranky old game? I know. We'll add Souls-like elements, and that way they'll go there and have their little twitchy moments where they can twitch their fingers super fast. For 50-year-old guys like me who have arthritis, and I'm not complaining, I'm just stating fact. We don't like that thing. I want to sit back with one hand on a cold drink and the other hand on my controller and just mindlessly tapping a button. That's all I want to do. Is that so much to ask? Asking me to sit here and have to be on every fight, every single attack I have to, observe and either dodge or parry, it just ruins the experience for me. I know when I go into a Dark Souls game, I know when I go into Elden Ring, you know, though, and that what is it, the Dusk Bloods that's coming out for Switch 2. I know when I play those games, I'm going to be using Souls-like elements, and I accept that, and I am ready for it. But don't put it in, an action RPG made by SquareSoft using Final Fantasy gameplay, and don't put it in a turn-based RPG like Clair Obscura. So that's just my thing. Hate me if you want. Okay, so let me take a drink. Moving on to number 8 would be forced PvP. Now, I like playing games online. I like MMOs. I like multiplayer games. But what I don't like are games that force you to do player versus player to get content. One of the biggest, uh, one of the biggest games to commit this crime was Destiny 2. I loved the first Destiny. Went all the way through the game, played all the expansions, did all that stuff. Loved it. Bought the second one, and I think it was like the third expansion or something. They started this thing where to get all the new content, you had to go into the PvP arena and just grind PvP points for like days on end to get the new content. Once I tried it a little bit and I did not like it, and I quit, uninstalled the game, and never went back. And that was like what, 4 years ago or so. Another game series that did it are these new age survival games like V Rising and Valheim. I don't like that stuff because if you put me in a role playing game and you say, okay, build your lair and hunt enemies and build this and do that, that's fun. But when you say to actually complete the content, I have to go and hunt other players down or protect my content and my stuff from other players, I don't like that. Because now my enjoyment of the game is dependent on other people. So if my friends aren't protecting my stuff, or I have enough people that don't like me, that they're attacking my stuff and destroying it, that just ruins my fun. I don't find anything enjoyable about that. I mean, maybe other people do. They like the PvP elements. I know one of my best friends, since 1999, we've played every MMO there is. He loves the PvP stuff. I don't. So for me, it's a no-go. Whenever I see the forced PvP, I'm out. Totally kills a game for me. Okay, so moving on. Number 7 is too much dialogue. Yeah, see, this is something I've had a lot of arguments with in the past. And people, I remember I used to post to RPG Dot. Remember the old website from the early 2000s, RPG Dot? I got laughed off of that website and was one of its most hated forum users, and they kicked me off of it because of this. Because, what did one guy... There was some guy who claimed he was 13 years old. I know, right? And I was, at the time, 27? So this was a little teenage kid who was like saying, "You're stupid. I'm so much smarter than you. I can't believe you're twice my age and you don't like..." And they compared me to George Bush. They said, "You must be a Republican." Because they did. They actually compared me. And it still to this day pisses me off. I'm still salty about it. What's so bad about not liking a lot of dialogue in your games, right? I don't like it. The two biggest... Let me just get this out of the way. The two biggest... perpetrators of this crime in RPGdom would be a Planescape Torment and Tyranny. And Tyranny it was pitched as that kind of game, so I can't really hate it. But when Planescape came out, I thought it was just going to be like another Baldur's Gate type of thing. So I had bought it. And my God, it's like I spent the first 20 hours of the game just reading text. And I thought, when the hell do I get to kill shit? When do I get to kill things and level up and get loot? I mean, you can take this dialogue and shove it up your ass. I just don't want to have anything to do with it. Does that mean I'm stupid? I actually, I don't want to sit here and embarrass myself and more than I already have, and gloat about my college accomplishments. But I'm not an idiot. I love writing. I love reading. I just want to kill shit and level up. I'm not interested in dialogue. I mean, I'd rather be like Diablo 2. Diablo 2 has a lot of lore dumps, a lot of dialogue, but you can go back and view it and talk to those NPCs and look at the logs whenever you want. So you can push it aside, do all your fighting, and then come back and say, hey, now I want the lore dump, so let me listen to 15 minutes of dialogue. One of the problems with Planescape is most of its dialogue is not voiced. So you're going through tons and tons and tons of screens of scrolling text. And you have like 20 responses to a simple question that lead to 20 more responses. And it's, God, even talking about it is too exhausting. So too much dialogue, that's one of the things that can totally kill a game for me. Okay, so moving on. Number 6 would be overly simplistic or easy combat. And the two biggest perpetrators of that crime would be Victor Vran and Visions of Mana. One of the things that really pisses me off about some RPGs is they just don't try to make a game challenging. I'm not saying every game has to be Dark Souls. It doesn't have to, sit here and bend you over and smack your butt over its knee. But I mean, at least make the combat a little meaty. At least make me work for my dopamine. When I go into a game and even on hard, I'm just butt smacking it when I'm not even trying. That's a problem. That caused me to quit both of those games, especially Visions of Mana, and I was really looking forward to that because I was a big fan of Trials of Mana. I beat Trials of Mana on the hardest level. I even beat the post game on the hardest level. So I thought, boy, maybe Visions of Mana will up the challenge. No, Visions of Mana was way easier than even Trials of Mana, and because of that, I never completed the game. I got about 90% through, and I've been meaning to get that last bit, and I just can't. I just got so pissed off because I accidentally got too powerful and I was sitting there beating like optional enemies, and I thought, this just isn't fun at all. I'm just gonna have to quit, and I did. It's too much. Okay, so let me take another drink here because my throat's dry. Number 5. Number 5 would be exhausting combat, which is the exact opposite of number 6. Two games that are really guilty of this would be Clair Obscura, which I mentioned before, and Final Fantasy XIII. Now, this doesn't mean the combat is hard, because in neither of those games is the combat really hard. The problem is the combat is where you have to constantly be on. Like, for instance, I want to tell you now, someone who's been playing RPGs for over 40 years, an RPG should be such that really only the bosses require a lot of focus. Your ordinary mobs should be pretty much dispatchable within like 2 rounds. If your RPG is such that I'm having to spend like 15 minutes on a normal mob on my way to the boss, that's a problem. Because I don't want to spend a lot of time and constantly be focused, constantly be on, and constantly have to pay attention to normal mobs. Trash mobs should be just that, trash. You hit the button a few times, you kill them, you get the experience and the loot, and you move on. If every single enemy that I have to fight has all these shields I have to knock down, and all these special dances and poses and shit that I have to do just to get them to become vulnerable to an attack, it is so damn exhausting. Another game that did that too, even though I did beat it, was what the hell was that space game for the PS2? I can't remember it. Rogue Galaxy, that's it. Rogue Galaxy was good, but it had this thing where you had to set up enemies to be hit. Like some enemies, you had to step on them before you could do damage to them. Other enemies, you had to launch them into the air before you could do damage on them. It was so stupid. Like, why? It makes no sense. So I have to hop around like a bunny rabbit to get an enemy to actually take damage. So stupid. So yeah, exhausting combat. That is a big no-no. Don't like that. Okay, so take another drink because my throat is dry. Number 4. Now we're getting into the things that really grind my gears. Number 4 is too many timed missions or too many pushy quests. Two greatest um, two greatest criminal games against that would be the modern Atelier games and the modern Persona games. No, I love the old Atelier games, like for the PS2, and like Grand Phantasm and Manichemia 2 is another one. Those were good games, and I mean they did have some timed quests. I'm not gonna lie, but the modern Atelier games are like all timed. Everything is timed, and what's worse is a lot of them have time set up so that if you don't complete the game itself within a certain amount of time, you lose, you're dead, bye, you're done. And that kind of thing pisses me off. Like, I'm the kind of person when I play an RPG, I like to take my time, literally smell the roses. I'm the character who will go around and look at all the different textures and the tile sets, and go through and look at the way the leaves are blowing on the trees. I'm that weirdo. I remember I played the very first Borderlands with a very good friend of mine. I haven't seen this guy in years, but he hated playing Borderlands 1 with me back in the day because I would actually stop and like look at the textures and like read the signboards and like, go into town and look at each little house and try to see what new things I could find. He hated that. He was like, "Come on, dude." You know, the guy, one of my best friends that I've been playing online games with since '99, I annoy the hell out of him because when I play MMOs with him, I always want to stay behind in the villages and that and look at all the NPCs. And it's funny because too much dialogue pisses me off, but I'm the guy who will sit there and look at textures for like an hour. If that doesn't scream autism, I don't know what does. But I can't stand the dialogue, but I love the look of the design of games. So yeah, time like Persona. Like I don't even like the modern Persona games. Even Metaphor ReFantazio, I could not. I went through Metaphor ReFantazio like about 50% of the way, and I had to stop and it was a good game. Don't get me wrong, but I had to stop because there was just so much timed shit. I was even using a guide to help me through all the timed crap, but even then it was too much. The only modern Persona type game I like was 4. And that's because there was a way to get around the time stuff, at least to a point, because since they had that fox character at the start of the dungeon, of every dungeon, you could go back to the fox and he would re-heal your mana points and your hit points. So you could just wait to the very last day of the calendar before you would fail. Like, there was always this point in each calendar section where if you passed that date, you would fail the game entirely. I would get to that last day, and then I would stop, go into the dungeon, and then grind for like 20 hours. Using the fox to go back down and get all my mana points and hit points back, and then go and grind again. So I never really had to worry too much about timing because you could easily heal your hit points and your persona points, or whatever they call them, energy points. You can't do that in the Persona 3 Reloaded, and you can't do that in Persona 5. They don't let you have to use certain items that are finite. So that's why that's one of the main reasons I never finished those games. But I did finish Persona 4 twice. So yeah, too many timed missions. That'll turn me off right away. All right. So coming in at number 3, these are the 3 worst things, the things that absolutely piss me off in RPGs. Number 3, extremely short games. Yeah, I know. I know. We like them long, don't we? That we do. I don't like short games. A good example of that would be that, like the Zeboid games, like Breath of Death and Cthulhu Saves the World, that sort of stuff, or Final Fantasy Mystic Quest. Even though I did beat Mystic Quest because it was a Final Fantasy game, I don't like it and would never go through it again just because it's so damn short. You can beat the game in like 5 to 8 hours. I know it's meant to be that short because it's an intro RPG for newbies. I get it. But still, I can't stand short games. I actually got into a Twitter argument back in the day. People might want to know why I have so many stalkers online and so many people hate me. One of the reasons why is I pissed off a bunch of people once by saying that Chrono Trigger is too short. I said that the Zeboid games are too short. The Breath of Death and Cthulhu Saves the World are too short. And man, this was around like 2011 or so, and they dogpiled my ass. And they're like, yeah, but Chrono Trigger, you said it's really good, and yet that's a really short game. Oh my god. It's like, yeah, Chrono Trigger is about 20 hours long. Mystic Quest and the Zeboid games are like 5 hours long. There's a huge difference between that. And two, let's also remember Chrono Trigger has multiple endings and a very good New Game Plus mode. So even though it only takes about 15 to 20 hours to complete the main game, you're going to tack on another 10 hours to see all the endings. So don't even go there. So yeah, extremely short games, that is a huge turnoff. Okay, so last two before my voice completely gives out because I'm drinking orange juice like crazy here. I hate being sick. So, 1 and 2, here we go. The second thing on this list, things that prevent me from playing an RPG, would be hindering me from leveling. That is a huge friggin' sin. When a game does that, I shut it off, uninstall it, rub my ass on it, and throw it in the trash. That is a huge, huge sin. Because people who know, and before we get on, the two biggest perpetrators of this crime are the Legend of Heroes series, and even though I liked this game, it did it last year when it came out, was Fantasian Neo Dimension. I wanted to like that game too. But hear me out. If you know me personally, if you're one of the people who know me in real life, or you know me through Steam, or you've known me for years online, you know that I love to grind in RPGs. Grinding is extremely important to me. And if I can't grind, I'm not having fun. A lot of times I just like to shut my brain off. You know, I'll get a game like, say, Shin Megami Tensei 5, which I love to death. I'll get that game and I'll just sit there and grind endlessly. You know, I'll just summon a demon that's not in my compendium and say, hey, let's do it. Let's summon 3 demons, put them in my party, and grind them to 99. Let's do it. Yeah, and I'll sit there and grind for 2 hours. And the game lets you do that. You can absolutely do that. There's nothing against it. That I love. Now, if a game prevents me from doing that, such as the Legend of Heroes games or Fantasian Neo Dimension, pisses me off. Because see, both of those games have a mechanic, right? Where after you hit a certain level, enemies will stop giving you experience. Or they will give you such small amounts of experience, they might as well not be giving you any experience at all. I almost beat the very first Trails of Cold Steel game. I got to the last boss, that dragon, and beat him. And there was one more boss after him, and to this day I still haven't completed that game, that one last boss, because I struggled so much to fight that dragon near the end, because the game wouldn't let me grind, and I couldn't survive his attacks, because his attacks would do like 20 to 50 more hit points than my character actually had, and I was like, Jesus, would you just let me gain one more friggin' level? One more friggin' level so that I could actually survive this attack. But I couldn't, because the game stopped giving me experience. And then I go online and like, well, you have to buy the DLC to get these palms, because these palms level you up. Well, I did that and I used them all, and I didn't gain a level, or I didn't gain to the level I needed, and I couldn't buy more of them. So what was the point? It just really bothered me. And I loved Fantasia Neo Dimension, but about 2/3 through the game, there's a plot point that happens where it tells you that, hey, from now on, you can only gain up to a certain level and enemies will stop giving you experience. I thought, what? That's bullshit. Like, how can you tell me how to enjoy my game? I paid $50, $60 for your game, and now you're telling me how I have to play it? Fuck off. I will not stand for that. I don't care if that. I just dropped the F bomb. I don't give a shit. That's something that really pisses me off as a gamer. Don't tell me how to enjoy the fucking game that I bought from you. I paid 50, 60 bucks. You let me enjoy the goddamn game the way I want to. So that really pisses me off. When a game does that to me, I'm out. I'm more than out. I'm just like wiping my ass with that shit and throwing it away. I'll never touch it. There's only one thing I hate more than that. Yeah, there's only one thing, and we're getting there because I got something to say. Number one on my list of things that I hate in RPGs and will keep me from playing them. Number one is preventing me entirely from level grinding. Now, it's one thing to be the Legend of Heroes and say, hey, we're not going to give you much experience. I could, in theory, continue to level grind, but it's just going to take several more hours. You can, in Fantasia Neo Dimension, level grind quite a bit, even though it'll take an extremely large amount of time because it's not giving you a lot of experience. But in games like Crimson Echoes and Sea of Stars, holy shit. Like, I just absolutely cannot stand that crap. Because to me, like, I think it was Crimson Echoes. Isn't that what it was called? Because I'm going to try to remember what the name of that. Because I did buy it, but I refunded it on... No, it wasn't Crimson Echoes. What the hell was that game? There was a game on Steam. Now I say I have to look it up. I'm ruining my... no. Chained Echoes. That's what it is. It's Chained Echoes. See, I'm sorry about that. It blew through my speaker. I had to load it up on Steam. It's not Crimson Echoes. It's Chained Echoes by Deck 13, I think, was the publisher. The Whisper Games. Developer was Umami Tiger. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Everybody got such a wet vagina over Chained Echoes. Like, people were saying like, oh man, this is the best RPG ever. They did the same thing with Sea of Stars. I bought both of those games when they came out because I was so hyped for them. The graphics looked good. The story seemed good. The music was great. I was like, man, this is great. A 16-bit style RPG with amazing graphics, a great soundtrack, and a really cool story. I'm so hyped. And in both of those games, completely block you from level grinding. Chained Echoes actually does it so bad that they don't even have the enemies. They don't even have the enemies respawn. The enemies do not even respawn in that game. So if you want to go back to an area, and grind, you can't, because the enemies just don't respawn. You have to fight every enemy at the level that the designer wants you to fight them at. That's it. Tough shit. You suck a little at the game and want to grind up a bit to even the difficulty out? Fuck you. The developer knows more than you. The developer is smarter than you. He says you suck and you need to get good. So you get off your ass and you fight that enemy at level 2, you nerd. No. See, that sort of thing, I don't play that game, buddy. And Sea of Stars, I will say that there are a few mobs in Sea of Stars that will respawn. But here's the problem with Sea of Stars. It catches you like that. It's like, sure, if you want to level grind, you can spend 15 minutes walking backward to the beginning of an area and fight the one mob that actually does respawn. But here's the trick. Mobs don't drop money. So you can't use the money to buy gear because you have no money. That's how they get you. You want to get money, you have to go and fish and learn the fishing mini game and sit there and fucking fish for 3 hours to get enough money to buy the armor you need. Why people love these two games and think they're so great, I have no idea. Because when you prevent me from grinding, or even worse, prevent me from money grinding, that's it. You've lost me. You've lost me as a customer. I'm gonna refund your game, which I did with Chained Echoes, and I said never again, not touching it. So I'm sure that pissed a lot of people off, but those are my top 10 reasons or top 10 things I hate in an RPG. Also, the top 10 reasons that'll make me stop playing an RPG. So, hopefully you enjoyed that. Hopefully it didn't tick you off too much. I apologize if it did. I am a person with strong opinions, and I'm, kind of sick right now, like literally sick, and I'm not in a good mood. So, but yeah, that's if you guys have things that you don't like in RPGs, honestly, I'd like to know. I'm not saying that just to increase engagement, like some cheap YouTubers do. Put them in the comments and let me know, because we can talk about it. There are other things that piss me off too in games, and I can get to that in other lists, but those are the 10 things that piss me off the most. So, anyway, hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time.